Professor Howard Williams takes you on a journey through time and space, exploring death and memory, past and present. Archaeodeath.
Hello there, it's Archaeology Professor Howard Williams here, and on a recent discussion on TikTok, recent video, I introduced the fact that here at the University of Chester we don't simply have undergraduate archaeology programs, we also have MA programs. And so I thought I would come on live, as I'm just playing with the TikTok live studio from my office again, and talk to you a little bit for 20 minutes, 25 minutes about the MRes Archaeology here at the University of Chester, and to give you a sense of how postgraduate study fits into the range of things that we teach at a higher education institution in the UK, and in particular how it can be a distinctive range of courses that we have on offer, on offer here at the university. So the MRes Archaeology is one of the things we offer. We also offer an MA Archaeology of Death and Memory, which is a unique programme looking at mortuary archaeology, archaeologies of the body, archaeologies of landscape. We also do an MA Archaeology and Heritage Practice, which links together advanced level study in different aspects of prehistoric, Roman, medieval and modern archaeology with heritage management, conservation and interpretation and museum practice. But we also have this MRes Archaeology. So this is, at one level, it's the first time you can do an independent piece of research at master's level. Another level, it's a sort of an MPhil light. It's lighter than a PhD MPhil route and allows you to pursue a sort of distinctive study of your own. So it's counted as both a taught programme in the sense that you take some modules with the taught master's students, but it also counts as a research degree. So it's the MRes Archaeology. So we describe it on our prospectus as our MRes in Archaeology offers, I shall do my prospectus voice, which of course is what you need to do. Our MRes in Archaeology offers an excellent opportunity to conduct original archaeological research into a chosen topic and become proficient in advanced research skills and project management. And so we offer this full-time over 1 year, part-time over 2 years. We offer it in person from the Exton Park University of Chester campus, or we also offer it distance learning. From anyone around the world can study this via distance learning. And the course overview is our MRes Archaeology is an excellent opportunity to conduct original archaeological research into a chosen topic and become proficient, as we said above. The course also provides the ideal preparation for MPhil PhD research and a valuable training for a career in the archaeology and heritage sectors. So our course provides a thorough grounding in current archaeological theory and method that will lead to you completing a big 28,000 word research dissertation. So it's hi Verity, I remember you. Hello. Sorry, one of my students has come on board. I just realised who they were. So one of my former students, I should say. And we offer this MRes and Archaeology where you can study that for that dissertation, one of a range of different fields of study, for anything from Mesolithic archaeology, Iron Age and Roman Britain, Anglo-Saxon and Viking Age archaeology, geoarchaeology, mortuary archaeology, archaeologies of memory, materiality and material culture, art and aesthetics, stone sculpture and literary heritage. So the idea is that you basically have to propose a specialist field of study, and we match you with a supervisor who can help you, and you can take that forward for a piece of research. So at the moment we have this full-time, part-time, distance learning or in-person course. You can take a 20 credit module called Research Skills in Archaeology and Heritage, and then you can match that up with a module called Landscapes and Memory, which looks at past landscapes from an archaeology and heritage perspectives. And they're the 40 credits of taught module, and then you have 140 credits, which leads to this 160 credits. Leads to this big research dissertation. So this is a really substantial piece of independent research, and we have 6 tutors who currently supervise or can be supervisors for the MRes Archaeology. So we have Dr. Morn Kappa, who is willing to supervise MRes or MPhil PhD topics on areas such as museum studies, museum practice and collections management, the analysis of historic buildings and collections, sustainability, inclusion, education and well-being as approaches to specific collections. She also is an early medievalist, so she looks at early medieval Mercia and its successors, its ideologies, institutions and borderlands, Anglo-Saxon kingdoms and societies, women as war leaders before 1600, and medieval collections and tangible and intangible heritage in relation to modern identities. So she's very much interested in looking at Wales, the Midlands and the Marches from international and World Heritage perspectives. So all of those are the kinds of topics, not precisely, they're the kinds of topics that you could be supervised by Dr. Morn Kappa on an MRes Archaeology. We also have Dr. Amy Gray-Jones, who is able to supervise a range of topics on bioarchaeology and Mesolithic archaeology. So she would list these kinds of topics: Mesolithic mortuary archaeology, archaeology of the body, loose human bone and disarticulation as a practice in the Mesolithic, human osteology and paleopathology in the Mesolithic, childhood growth, adolescence and the health in the Mesolithic, learning and enskillment in the Mesolithic, early prehistoric cannibalism, early prehistoric cremation, sensory approaches to disarticulated human remains, decolonising hunter-gatherer studies and Mesolithic archaeology, human, animal and human environment relationships in the Mesolithic and the contemporary world. And she's also interested in teaching archaeology in the present, so she's interested in teaching the Stone Age to Iron Age at KS2 National Curriculum for History. She also has medieval archaeology expertise, so she could supervise MRes Archaeology research on medieval hospital cemeteries and musculoskeletal health among contemporary archaeologists themselves, so how archaeology affects the archaeologists from a bioarchaeology perspective. So that's Dr. Morn Kappa and Dr. Amy Gray-Jones and their expertise. Let me also look and some others. So Professor Megan Gondek is an expert in early medieval archaeology and landscape archaeology, and she's willing to supervise any topic on early medieval Britain and Ireland, methodological and theoretical approaches to art, particularly she's got an expertise in looking at Pictish symbol stones, landscape and archaeology. She's supervised a host of projects applying practical skills to landscape investigations, geoprospection and so on. And early medieval cast stone monuments, as I said, that's another area that she's willing to supervise. So that's Morn, Amy and Megan. My next colleague I want to sort of talk about what she could supervise at MRes Archaeology level is Dr. Caroline Pudney, and she has expertise in Iron Age and Roman archaeology, and she could supervise topics on regional variation in Roman objects from northwest England, Wales and the Marches. She's got an interest in supervising topics on mirrors in Roman Britain, the deposition of objects in the Iron Age of Britain, landscape context for Iron Age hoards in Wales is another of her interests, human-animal relationships in the Iron Age of Britain. She's also got research interest on Iron Age coins and imagery, the Romans and the Celts at KS2 National Curriculum and Curriculum for Wales, and the public archaeology of Roman Britain in the 21st century. So again, another colleague who is interested in both how we study the past, but also how we make the past meaningful in the contemporary world. Another colleague, Dr. Barry Taylor, he's willing to supervise a range of topics at MRes Archaeology level, including Mesolithic Britain and Northern Europe, cultural perceptions of plants in past and contemporary societies, paleo-environmental reconstruction, multi-species archaeology, looking at the relationship between different species of plant and animal and human beings, human-environmental relations in the past, and the role of archaeology in contemporary environmental issues. And yet again, a colleague who is interested in not only investigating past societies, but also the significance of those studies for our world. And finally, of the six of us, there's me, Professor Howard Williams. So I would be willing to supervise MRes archaeology topics, and I currently do actually, on these areas: mortuary archaeology's theory, practice and ethics, death and burial and commemoration in the early Middle Ages, the history of Anglo-Saxon archaeology, contemporary death and memory, early medieval archaeologies of in the present, including heritage, politics and popular culture, and many of my TikToks are about that, and finally digital public mortuary archaeology, how we use digital resources to engage new audiences in mortuary studies and particularly mortuary archaeology. So why I'm doing this little TikTok live is to, firstly, as I said, experiment in using the TikTok live studio so I can talk from my office, but also to give you a sense of the range of topics that we can supervise at MRes level here at the University of Chester. Now, obviously, other universities offer MReses too, and can offer you just another series of ways you can study at master's level by research, so with taught modules taking up a small component, and then a broader, bigger research dissertation of 28,000 words at our university. It may vary at other universities, but this is a good example of how, if you've got an undergraduate degree in archaeology, or indeed an undergraduate degree in another subject that relates to it, or perhaps you've come from the profession of archaeology in the heritage sector and you want to come back and do a dedicated piece of research, then the MRes Archaeology could work, whether your interests are pure archaeology or heritage, archaeological heritage and museum practice. You could be supervised to and guided through that with our degrees that I said are part-time and full-time, or you can study them in person at the University of Chester, or if you're in the region, or you could actually learn via distance learning from further afield, where we would offer you the modules and the supervision online. I'm currently supervising someone who is a distance learning MRes, and she's looking on her research is going to be on early Anglo-Saxon grave goods, and she's based in Norfolk, which is the other side of England, and so we do supervisory meetings by Teams, and we have chats that way. So that's why I wanted to do this live. Let me have a look at the comments and get a sense of what people have been saying. I did interrupt myself earlier on to say hello to Verity, who was an undergraduate here 10 years ago, who I remember well, and she was here when I arrived in the job, I think. So hello to her. Well, you do other things now. Design sprinkler systems. That's fab. I mean, it's as I've said before, our undergraduates go off to a host of different jobs and backgrounds. So that's fantastic. It's really interesting to see the range of different ways people build on their undergraduate degrees. I'm actually trying to work out how do I add people as moderators on this system, but I can't do that. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I shall go on anyway. Some people are asking me to comment on things I don't know what that's about. I'm sorry. Yeah, you can study. Yeah, you can. It's really interesting the way people don't often know, even though we have them on our website, and you can go look at course, lists of courses. It's very difficult to get a sense, I think, of how you study at master's level. And we've had at MA level, MA students who've come from a host of different backgrounds, from political science, history, English, anthropology degrees, archaeology degrees, but in other countries where their methodological, practical, theoretical approaches are different. We've had literary scholars, we've had theology undergraduates who've then transferred to do an MA or MRes in archaeology, and even sports science, so biology backgrounds, biochemistry and that type of thing, coming in to study with us. And we've had MA, MRes students who are literally new to it. They've done perhaps a foundation degree or a couple of courses in higher continuing education, and because they've got a lifelong background and interest in archaeology and heritage, and they've got a specific passion and interest, and they've spent 30 years in a job or 20 years in a job or whatever, we accept them on those criteria and to study with us. So we try to accommodate people's interests in a range of ways in studying, but of course it is a tough challenge doing a master's level piece of research. You may have to adapt to a very different country and different academic discipline, and we give you guidance along the way. It's not going to be a smooth start often if you're jumping subjects or you're jumping from an undergraduate degree to a master's. It can be very challenging. So I do feel I do feel it's something that people do need to think through very carefully before they apply. And the online application system for most UK universities is now via our website, and it's very relatively straightforward. For the MA taught programmes, the MA Archaeology of Death and Memory or the MA Archaeology and Heritage Practice, you simply apply and give your qualifications and a brief statement. For the MRes, we expect you to have produced a short proposal, and often we have an informal conversation with the applicant beforehand let them know the kind of things we can supervise, as I have, and then suggest some things they can read so that they can build up a proposal. And the proposal doesn't have to be tight and watertight, exactly this topic, investigating this collection of material or investigating this archaeological site, but it does have to pose a problem and so show an awareness of the kind of topic you might be looking at, so that you can build a sort of your interests and expertise in a particular area and field. So I think for me, studying, I've been teaching how many years at university? I've been teaching a long time at universities, 23 years, man and boy. 24 years, man and boy. It's the hardest job in the world. I like Frank Sinatra. Sorry, that's a fast show joke for those who might know. I've been teaching, and of that time, I enjoy teaching undergraduates. PhD supervision is tough because it's the highest of the high, big project. It's very much that individual's project, and that is, I wouldn't say a joy, because it can be really challenging to guide a student to PhD. But the MA teaching I love, because you usually get people of such a diverse range of genders, ethnicities, perspectives, ages, and they're all coming to the subject with their own enthusiasms and interests. So we have people with a range of religious backgrounds. I've taught people of various different faiths, people of different ethnicities, people of different nationalities, and it can be a really fun dynamic of different personalities on the MA programs. But the MReses are a sort of a halfway house between the MPhil, PhD, advanced level big projects and the taught MA programs, and they can be some really fun projects to supervise. So my first MRes Archaeology student was actually a retired school teacher, and he was a retired head teacher who was particularly interested in using photogrammetry to record early medieval stone sculpture, and also because he was an educational expert, he was interested in how we then use those resources, those digital resources, to create learning packages for schools. So it was very much a applied public history or public archaeology project, where he was recording stone sculpture, the famous Viking Age Gosforth cross in Cumbria, actually, and then thinking about how we apply that to educational resources. I think these are the kind of and then as I said, at the moment I'm supervising a project looking at early Anglo-Saxon grave goods and how do we interpret those. So there's some really interesting so much fun for the supervisor and for the student, and of course it's never without challenges, and students sometimes find themselves lost along the way, demoralised. I can tell you my MA was utter demoralising. Back in the day being the 1990s, when I did my MA, I frittered away most of my early part of my summer, which I should have been writing up my research, with playing computer games, and that's I realised that me and computer games are not compatible. I'm too addicted. I can get too addicted to computer games, and my morale was just rubbish. And then I picked it up at the very end and did I think an okay piece of work. I published it in the end anyway. But my point is, all our students go through up and down times, and we're there to give them some support. We're not trained counsellors, but we are there to give, direct the students to the support they need, whether it's on practical aspects of how to produce presentable written work, or it's more advanced level research skills, or it's just having a chin wag about how annoying they find something about their life. We try to support them along the way.
If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to Howard Williams on YouTube. In addition, consider following the Archaeodeath WordPress blog at howardwilliamsblog.wordpress.com.